All righty. We are live. Okay. Let me make sure.
I'm not showing you live yet on my side.
Yeah, me neither.
All righty. What about now? Because it's on, but you let me know. Okay, I have it. It's on. Can y'all see it?
My screen says live. Let me see
I
that.
don't see it.
I don't see you get on any page.
Do you see it, Ramona?
No, I don't see it. My screen does say live on Facebook, but it'll pop up in just a second, I'm sure.
Well, as long as you see it.
Yeah, as long as you see it, we'll get with it.
Yeah, he. Okay, I have it. It's on. We're on.
Oh, okay.
But and I have tagged you in.
We should probably do it.
Okay. So while others are joining, let me just make sure I have you all on the right connection as well. Oh, you know what? You are exactly right. We're not live to anyone. You know why? I always set, so we're live now. Okay.
Okay.
I always set my lives to me first so I can see them and get a view first. And so it was locked to me.
Okay. I was like, okay, but if you say we are, I believe
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay. So we're good now. So it's starting now. Hi, everyone. We're live. It wasn't like it's on my page, but yeah, they're big. When you said locked, I remember. I was like, yes, you're right. I had to learn that the hard way to show myself first in the live so I can see the way if I had to make some adjustments. I forgot all about that. So we are live. Hi. Hello. We're going to just give it a moment before we start. And I also ask that as you come into the video, if you would share with another great woman and wife that you know, we're going to have a great conversation. So excited. And yeah, we'll get started shortly. So we're good on your end. You see it.
Yes, we are live.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I did hear someone kept refreshing it. And I was like, well, maybe it's not.
I was refreshing. I would keep saying, okay, but I don't see it. Well, maybe it's live on Instagram or something.
Also, while we are waiting for people to come in, if you are on here, you can also submit a question anonymously, and we'll just read your question. If you want to ask us anything, I'm gonna just share it to the. I'm gonna give it to the experts here. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if you don't mind, again, please share the video, and or tag another great wife, and
When you share, do you share in write post or share in watch party?
you can do both. I usually just share it in a post.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And it allows you the opportunity to as well add a message when you do that option.
Okay. I just shared it too. Okay. So
Okay,
okay,
awesome.
look, I hadn't even shared it. So I wasn't even sure. So
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And again, y'all are looking so lovely. Oh, just
Thank you. You
to
too.
be in the presence, the virtual presence of you wonderful women.
oh my.
Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and get started. My name is Shanquetta Cunningham, and on every other Thursday, I host Courageous Conversations for action, where we're having discussions about topics that we often hear, but I believe we can dive a little deeper into. And so, if you've caught any of the other episodes, you notice that we've talked about race in the church, virtual learning, politics, and Black economic development. And the goal is to continue to have conversations, and so that you can take these conversations in your own communities and your own spheres of influence and build on these conversations. And so, Courageous Conversations for Action is an intentional platform to build bridges, to shine a light, and make a difference in this complicated space that we are in. On tonight, we are going to have a great conversation when wives talk. And I have the opportunity to share tonight's show with, or live, with Mrs. Ramona Goffin Webb and Mrs. Bridget Robeson. And so I am going to allow them to introduce themselves because they can definitely do it better than I can. And so we're going to start with Ramona. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Shanquetta. Hey guys, my name is Ramona Goffin Webb, and I am from Blytheville, Arkansas. Right now, I'm in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I am married to Tony Webb. We have been married for 5 years, and we dated for 1 year. We got married. We have 4 children. We just had a set of twins back in March, right at the brink of COVID, and I have a 4 year. So yeah, we got four on the court and a 2 year old. And I have a business, Mona Nisi Skin and Hair Care, and a salon in Blytheville, Arkansas as well, Mona Nisi Salon. So I'm excited to be on tonight to hear what wives are talking about. Thank you again, Shanquetta.
Thank you. And also an author. I mean, just everything. She just had to stop. Now, this wonderful and our next guest is all things phenomenal. So, could you just give us a condensed version of, because she can certainly go on this whole hour. Uh, but our next guest is Mrs. Bridget Robeson.
Thank you, Shanquetta. I appreciate this opportunity. Um, I am Bridget Roberson, Mrs. Bridget Roberson, as she so eloquently put it. Um, I have been married to my honeydew for 27 years. We dated about a year and a half before we actually got married. We have one son, and I am a new glam mom, so I'm really excited about that. I fell in love all over again when this little boy came into town. He's the new sheriff in town. But I also have a nonprofit, which is called Bridge to Greatness. And what we do is we take young girls who are ages 14 to 18, and we help them maximize and realize that they can be whatever it is that they want to be. If they believe it, they can achieve it, and we're here to help them get to it. Um, so I'm just excited to be here. That's just one of the things I would just talk about for tonight, just so we can stay on track and talk about when wives speak. I'm excited about this topic myself.
Awesome. And so I guess I can give some context about my husband, right? Huh? That would make sense.
That would be good.
Yeah. So my husband Sanford and I, we just celebrated 14 years of marriage. And so this was an intentional conversation to give us what an early stage of marriage, and then with me, this teenage stage, and it is a teenage stage to be. And then we have season. And so just to give us a different.
So bad you didn't say old.
No, ma'am, I know better. I know better. We've been married 14 years, 5 children. For us, it was first came the carriage, then came marriage. Our oldest daughter is 15. And so, yeah, but it has been a joyous a joyous process because God, when He made my husband, I said He made a great person, and I'm just happy to be married to that person. So I'm thankful for that. All right, so we're going to get into some questions now. Also, again, if you did not hear from the beginning, if you would like to submit a question, I am going to try to look at it on live, or one of the ladies could help me with that, or you can direct message me if you feel like it's a question you don't want anyone to see. That is just fine. We respect your privacy as well. So, all right, number one, let's start with you, Mrs. Robeson. What do you wish someone would have told you when you first got married? So you're into year one, and then you're like, okay, here's some raw realities. So what was that for you?
Ooh, girl, that's a good question right there. Um, I would say I wish somebody would have told me that there would be disagreements because everything was so hunky dory. We were so in love, the goo goo gaga, and, whatever I said went. And we, I don't think that we ever really got into any arguments before marriage, and we had any disagreements. Uh, it was just all he was so in love, I was so in love. It was back in the day, and so I wish somebody would have told me there was going to be disagreements and that he was going to say no sometimes. It was like whatever I wanted, yeah, you can have it. It's okay, yeah, baby, whatever you want. Anything
Mm,
you want this for the wedding? Yeah, baby, go ahead, whatever you want. And then you get married and you start getting into it, and it's like, no, we can't do that, or no, we're not going to do that. I'm like,
right.
what you say? So
What did
that was a sticker shock, initially when that first started
Yeah.
happening. And I wish somebody would have told me because, you get mad when somebody starts telling you, that you didn't say no before. Let me just check you right here at the door.
Mm,
Now you wasn't saying
mm-hmm.
no before, but now you're saying no. And so, you have to, manage your anger and your words, when you have these disagreements, because when you don't, um, it can lead you down the wrong road, and then you can end up getting divorced, or he sleep upstairs, I'm sleeping downstairs. I got the bed, but you sleep upstairs. So
Ooh.
if you understand that we're having a real conversation,
We
right?
having a real conversation. Or pretend to be sleeping till 3 a.m. because you don't want to come up to the room. Okay, all right.
Let me make sure we're having a real
real? We
conversation.
have a real
So,
conversation.
so if you understand that at first, that's why you want to get married, because you think, hey, we're so compatible. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything's so hunky dory, so good. But honey, you need to know that you're gonna have some disagreements. That's the real thing of it all. And when you do have those disagreements, you got to know how to manage that too. I wish somebody would have told me that.
Mm,
Manage what you do, manage what you say, because your actions, sometimes you want to pick up something and throw it at okay. Um, and because that's what that leads to when you have disagreements.
mm-hmm.
I really was thinking that we was everything was always going to be this. You get married, you have a baby, and everything's going to stay all like that. You're not going to get mad, but you are going to get mad, and you
Yes.
are going to be disagreements.
Mm,
But I try to manage those words and manage those actions, and so that they don't hurt, and then you have to come back and deal with that part of it later, because it can really blow up and be a really really bad situation. So
mm,
but it was those that the disagreements that you are going to have disagreements, because if you don't realize and recognize that you're living in a fantasy land. And I remember my girlfriend telling me real one day, she said, you never told me. And I said, told you what? She said, that sometimes you're going to get in an argument and stuff like
mm-hmm.
that. And I never see y'all get in an argument. I said, honey, that ain't for you to see. And I said, she
Listen.
goes, well, marriage is overrated. I said, it's not overrated. It's just that our expectation is that we're going to get married, everything's going to be all happy, go lucky and everything. But the true reality is you got to expect to take the good with the bad, and then
Right.
work through that thing, because that's what it's all about. So
Right. You said, no, that was great. And you said something. I want you to answer the question, but I also want for you to shed some light on this, Ramona. Uh, she said something that marriage is overrated. And so we are really in this, it seems like this polarized
Yeah.
viewpoint of marriage. Because of that, people like, well, if you get married, love doesn't hurt. And I'm like, I get what I think you're trying to say,
Trying to say.
but honey, you will get your feelings hurt. Yes, and or you will hurt someone's feelings. We have to be very honest, and especially, so I want to dive into that. So we're going to just answer this. Is marriage overrated? And especially knowing that, as Miss Bridget just alluded to, you are going to have problems. So should that stop someone or stop you from thinking that you should not, get married, or if you're married, you should not, it's easy to walk away from it. Just share your thoughts about that.
Right. So is marriage overrated? No. Um, Marriage is not overrated. Marriage is just a work. You got to work it. And that's one thing, just to answer that question and to go back to say, I wish somebody would have told me, which I knew, but like it's really a work and it's what you make it. And you have to keep making ing in it.
Hmm.
It,
Hmm.
you feel like you put it together, and you come together. No, it's gonna actually be what you make. And another thing is that it's not gonna be perfect or like anyone else's. And so we
Right.
always look like, well, this person is doing that. And so we start comparing. When we start comparing, that's when we start causing things to be overrated or underrated because we start comparing it to this person.
Mm.
What happened to Sue in her marriage? What Joe did to, we start, it's not, it's God's ordinance. It's one of his
Mm.
first things. It's his family ordinance for marriage, husband and wife and children, and to make more like himself. So, no, it's not overrated, but you have to work to make it work. And it's not going to work any other way unless you work it. And if it's easier, it's going to make it easier. If you're going to have a godly marriage. Now, if you're going to have a society marriage, I don't know. I don't know how you're going to work that. Now, that is overrated. That's too much work. Because
You better say it.
when you have society's way of doing it, then honey, you're gonna be overtired. You don't have no shelter to run to. You don't have no godly counsel. You think sex gonna be enough? Uh-uh. So when you do things God's way and you have His guidance and His counsel, honey, it's not gonna be overrated. You're gonna reign in that marriage because He's gonna give you that pattern and that principle of what marriage really is, and that's a covenant.
That's a good point. And so let's move more on that. So one of the questions I have too, we're talking about marriage, and especially for us as believers that subscribe to um, godly or kingdom marriage, and to where you respect God, your faith, and that's a foundation. Why do you think, Miss Bridget, that there is an apprehension to marriage? Because when people see this word submit and submission, you just go ahead, because that's so loaded, but
That's a loaded
yeah.
question, right?
It is. It is.
A good one though.
let's let's just take just a little piece of it. Uh,
When I first got married, and they said, husbands submit, they said in your vows, husbands submit to your wives and wives submit to your husband, and um, I was like, he can ready to do what I say. And I'm gonna try to do what he said, but that
hey,
is
you're being honest about it. I get it.
it's old school. That was old
Yeah.
school train of thought. But my whole thing is with the submission between my husband and I. I feel like God made us for each other, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel so much like we're soulmates. To be together this long and have a good marriage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the a good marriage is about MAK and the ing that Ramona talked about. But the being submissive means it goes both ways. I try to be submissive to my husband. I, I want to say that they talk about submissive in the in the sex realm. A lot of people think it means in that way. And then if your husband asks you to do something, you need to do it. But I look at being submissive as a two-way street. You know, we're going to work these things out together. You're not going to boss me. I'm not going to boss you. Even though I was real bossy when we first got married. You know, I was so bossy. But, you know, we learned to be submissive to each other because, you know, anytime you have just a one-way street in a partnership, in a marriage, in a I feel like, you know, you're going to start having some problems one way or the other. Somebody's not going to be happy. And so I feel like to be submissive means that, you know, we both have to be submissive to each other and work this out together. Now, sometimes I ain't going to be submissive, and sometimes he's not either. And, you know, we accept that. And so we just try to work that out and have a good understanding. And, you know, marriage is about compromising. And there's a lot of compromise that you have to do, even when you don't want to do it. Sometimes you're going to take one for the team, you know. So, you know, it's all of those things, and recognizing that, you know, in order to make this work, we're both going to have to give in and give a little bit.
Yeah, I can admit when I got married, so I was 20. Yeah, 'cause I'm 34. So 20. And I first wanted to take the word out of my vows.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I knew that I wanted a godly marriage. I knew that we were talking with our pastor, so we were taking the right steps. But for me, a lot of it too, because of my history, and you know, I love Black history. Y'all know, I love politics, and so I was just thinking from that context, like, listen, I nobody's going to run over me, and just some childhood things that happened. I was just like, I'm not submitting to anything. Look, we're here, we're equal. What I've come though to realize with the word submission is, for one, I think society has taken out of context, because for African Americans especially, we have a deep root with the word because it really goes back to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And so that word submit for us makes us cringe, because how we were introduced to submission was through rape and beatings and trauma. And so I think over time the word just kind of got a lot perverted, and rightfully so, because of the context. And so it took a woman to tell me this, that marriage is a choice that you do every day, and that you're deciding to, whereas we as I'm saying, hey, I do not mind you leading my household, as you though are led by God. And if you submit to that, I can submit unto that leadership. You know, but it had to be broken down for me. And it wasn't the first few years of marriage that the understanding came. And so I think too, we have to kind of just, again, the context of marriage, I mean, the word has to shift. But what are your thoughts, Ramona?
When it comes to submission, and I think submitting means to that you got to come under. And when we think about coming under, sometimes as women, we feel like that means that it makes us weaker. We can still be strong under the right submission, because now we have, especially when he's led by God,
Yeah.
because that's God's order. It's God's order. He submits to God, I submit to you, and the children and the family walk that thing out. You know what I'm saying? So, what really makes it fickle, and what some people have a problem with, is that sometimes, we're not fully submitting to God. So some women be like, well, you're not submitting to God. Well, I'm not submitting to you. And then, like you said, from childhood, watching, our parents, and some single parents are watching other people, and we see how it's done. We're looking like, no, this is not back in slavery times. And you're not going to come tell me what to do or where to go. I'm independent.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, we're breaking up a little bit,
Female,
Ramona.
it's, the female, she is, you know, am I breaking up a little bit?
Okay, we got you now. You're
Can
good.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Um, the the female, she's coming out. She's coming out with her talent. She's coming out with her ability. And so with that, we have to learn, really tap into good counsel and good guidance, or to know that we're still just as important, just as smart, and learn how to be a submissive helpmate to a man that is submissive to the God of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
The one
Mm-hmm.
that put it all together.
Right,
And so if we're
right.
consulting the one and put it out together, if we're consulting the manufacturer on the product, we're gonna get it right every time. But outside of that, we're going to be in some trouble. So that word, like she said, honey, you open up a can of worms. But you know, that word, I mean, you have to really compromise and submission, all that coming underneath, especially times where you know you're trying to be respectful and times that you know it could be a little bit off, trying to find that medium to still be respectful. You know, that only comes from you know, time and I'm, you know, I'm on 5 years in. So I'm kind of like a baby. So I'm here to learn from y'all. So I am learning that. I am
Yeah.
learning to be, you know, more submissive. And then if I feel like, you know, well, Tony, you're not where I need you to be. I'm not where you need me to be. You know, I pray to God to help us to get to a place where we're more submissive to Him, so that we can be submissive to each other.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. So, are are we accountable enough as wives? Like, do we put too much pressure on our husbands? Like, you need to man up. You need to be this one all in all, without even taking inventory of our own selves. Because I can definitely relate.
There you go.
I was, I was one like, listen, it's not like, well, hey, you're gonna be back by this. Like, is this a discussion? I mean, this is early on, right? Because you're just like, you're not going to control me. But again, I had to start taking some personal inventory, right? Like, where is this coming from? Why are you snapping like this? And I think for us, and when you get into marriage, you realize some of the drama. Not everything we went through was trauma in our childhood, but maybe some of the drama you do roll over now
Yeah.
into how you communicate in relationships. So Miss Bridget, what would you say to that couple that's saying, "Hey, I need my husband to man up," but I for me, I'm like, what inventory are you taking on yourself? What would you say to that wife that wanting so much demands, but maybe we need to be honest about taking some accountability for ourselves as wives?
Yeah, that's very deep right there, Shanquetta. I know that sometimes we can put too much pressure on our husbands, and we want them to man up. We want them to do this and go and buy this for us and take care of the house, and just really do a lot. So I know that a man really likes to be looked at as a hero, but when you put too much stress and pressure on him, it breaks him down. It can break him down to where he feels like he's not doing enough. And then
Hmm.
if he feels like he's not doing enough and you break him down like that, then you two start getting into it. He's not meeting your expectations. And then he's feeling some type of way because he's not meeting your expectations. They want to be our hero, but they don't want to let us down either. And when that happens, somebody else come along and then they say, "Oh, you look so great," or whatever. And then, you got something else going on. So I would just
Hmm.
say, monitor that, because and we got to monitor ourselves. We got to make sure we're doing our fair share, because when we're not, they want us to be great women too. They really do. And they want to be proud of us. So I always feel like most men want to be proud of their wives. And so, we want to try to have that as a balancing act. And sometimes it's hard to have that balancing act, but I think at the same time, you don't want to put too much pressure on him where he can't, meet those expectations. And you know what? When he doesn't, it's good to just say, "Baby, it's okay. I got this,"
Hmm.
or I got your back in the same way I want you to have mine. The communication is what's the important key in all of that. And when you're asking him to be a hero, and you're saying, "Okay, I need you to man up," but say, "Hey, do you need some help?" That goes a long way. That do you need some help? Because then you're letting him know you're not in this by yourself, and I'm in this thing with you. And I think that, to me, that goes a long way.
Mm. Let me ask you something. As professional women, so both of you are, again, professional women and entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs, and you're well known in your respective communities and spheres of influence. Is there a stigma on professional women as dutiful wives? So the context of that is that I even heard the statement, I bet you are a mess at home. And one, I had to correct a man, I'm not a gentleman. I'm saying, well, just because how I talk to you, because I'm doing business, doesn't necessarily mean that's how I talk to my husband. I tolerate you. I respect him, but it's not the same. But but there is context is thinking that if you're a professional woman, that's somehow meaning that if you are seen as dominating, influential outside, then you're that person at home. What are your thoughts on that? Ramona, you can start.
That's not always true. Just because we're taking care of business, you know, business in marriage, that's too. This is my lover. This is my family. So I'm handling these two differently. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
just because I'm bold, just because I'm strong, doesn't that I'm trying to come off I don't know, I have this big ego, or I'm trying to come off unsubmissive, or trying to come out super independent. It's not that. Now, and I try to tell people, my husband knew that he married a strong woman. He knew he married a strong woman. Mama made a strong woman. My mama was a strong woman, and she had some strong girls. So when I'm dealing with business and stuff like that, I know the level of where I need to do to get that done. It's a
Hmm.
whole different ball game. But when I'm dealing with my
Hmm.
husband and I'm dealing with my family, I know that mannerism as well. It's just good to be able to juggle them both, and we as women, we can do it very, very well, and still doing it in a way that we have integrity. I can still take care of business at this time and go home and be submissive, to my man of God at the same time. So, I guess it just depends on how people look at it. You can think whatever you want to think or whatever, but I'm gonna handle this business. We're gonna close this out and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna be sweet thing, period.
Okay.
Mama.
Uh,
You know, and everything else. But that's
right.
what I love about us women is that we have so many hats. We have so many hats and so many things that we can do, and God made us like that. We're like a bowl of spaghetti. We all over the place, and we still getting things done. Everybody getting fed, and guys
Hmm.
are like they're like waffles. They're but no, we were put together to do this. We can make this happen. God did it. God did it. We did.
Amen. Amen. Mrs. Bridget, so you are nearly 30 years. And of course, your, resume and accomplishments are extensive. So I know that you know what I'm talking about. uh,
Yeah.
what are what are your thoughts on that?
Well, people always tell me the same thing. Because of my role at work, I'm always bossing people around here. But when I get home, I don't want to boss nobody around. When I get
Thank you.
home, I want my husband to lead, or just, really leave me alone sometimes. You
That's
know,
the realness.
just, he and, to be fair, he wants me to leave him alone sometimes. Like when we get home, we just need our space. Uh, but it's a lot of people say that because they can only see you in tunnel vision.
Right.
They
Hmm.
don't have the open-mindedness capacity to say, oh, well, she may be different at home, or this, that, or the other. Because I want to, when I get home, I want to take care of my husband. I want to make sure, I can't cook, I can't cook. We got that understanding. But on the days that I do want to go home and do something really nice for him or whatever, I want to do that and not be bossy about it. I'm bossy at work because I have to be. That's my role, and I want to tell you, you can't do this because that's what I do. But when I get home, it's totally different. But I know, people say that to me all the time. I bet you're a mess. I bet you run everything. Oh, I bet her
Hmm.
husband ain't this. Let me tell you, when my husband want to put his foot down, he does. It's not often, but when he does want to
Listen,
put his foot down, he does, and I listen. But it took some time to get there because, like I said, I didn't know he was even gonna ever, like stand up and say something. But when he finally did, it's like, okay, hey, you better step back, girl. But I was like, oh, hey, I like
and
this
it's a little
little side
sexy
right
too.
here.
On back. All right.
So he's like, okay, you better bag back and give me 50 feet. Okay. But
No, that is it. No, that's so funny because my husband, of course, I am. And I think too, I think it's a confusion too of what fuels us, because you can see us as wives and professional women, and that may be the extrovert side of us. But I tell people all the time, I really am probably an introvert, like, because what fuels me when I get home, I am running. I mean, we're in COVID right now, so a lot of it's at home, but I want to just soak in and just honestly to be catered to, because especially in my line of work, my business is service. So it's like, how do I advance your nonprofit and how do I support you as a leader? It's always, it's giving, it's giving, it's giving. So you get home, it's just like, yeah, baby, you want to feel like, oh yeah, I want to feel like the, yeah, and that's the only person you can do that with. Because outside, I'm not letting up on anything else. It's it's game on, it's business, and that it is what it is. And so it's good to have those. It's good to have those moments. I I wanted to ask you. So you're talking about that personal time, and so one of the questions that was submitted was, can you be jealous of your husband? And so the context of it is that our husbands, it seems like men and get to have more alone time, a personal space, and you're having to fight for it as a mother and a wife, and then too maybe family situations, and so you're trying to get some time alone. But is it possible to be, and I use this word, but jealous of your husband because it seems like they have more freedom to kind of, you know, take things at their pleasure, time at their pleasure? Who wants to go first? Ramona.
All right, this is a real good one. I'm a woman that has 4 children under 4, and running 2 businesses, and love to go see her mom and dad an hour and a half away, and doing ministry and stuff like that. But then when I come back to Poplar Bluff, yeah, this is a really, really, really good one. So, like I mentioned to you earlier, I know we're using the word jealous, and so I'll just tell you,
Mhm.
just having a conversation with my husband. Um, to answer the question, I guess, lack of a better word, I guess you could be, but I'm going to tell you how to, fix it and how I'm working on it as well. I'll say that. How I'm working on it as well is just being able to try to communicate, being able to tell your partner what you really need,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
need, like I don't care if it's a nap. I need a nap. I have a set of twins, and sometimes they're up at night. I really need it. And I'm serious because to some people it's not a lot, but to me, I need it. So,
And I can't
I'm
imagine.
communication, being able to communicate with him on the right level, and then us trying to balance the thing. I know that you want to go and do this. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so when you come back or whatever, do you mind if can you get the kids, like right now he has the kids downstairs? Can you get the kids for me because I really need a little small time by myself? So, and I'm just learning. And after I had my children, I have the greatest respect for my mom because, there's a big double standard. It's the elephant in the room, but it's the truth.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
a double standard when it comes to women and wives and being mothers.
Mhm.
And half of the time, my husband wants to, especially when I'm just going crazy, he really wants, okay, I'm going to do it all the day. I'm going to get him dressed. But I still find myself picking out the socks, matching
Right.
bowls,
Mhm.
making sure the bag is double packed because, and I found out that that's just something God put inside of me as a helpmate. Even when I'm tired, even when I want to give it to him, and I'm learning to, like, you know what? If he leaves a bottle of water out the bag, somebody gonna find some water.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
somebody's gonna,
Yeah.
somebody, I have twins, and my mom like the rest of my life. Somebody's socks is not gonna match today. It's okay. It's okay.
Right.
No, I'm serious
Right.
because I have small children, and so I'm learning through marriage and through working with him and communicating that if he say he got it, I'm gonna let him get it, so I can get that time that I say that I need, that time that I say that I want. It happened this morning, as a matter of fact. So this is really good. It happened this morning. I'm gonna get him together. I'm gonna get him together. And I'm like, no, let me help you. He's like, no, I thought you was tired. Go lay down. But I still find
Mhm.
myself, Shanquetta, packing
Mhm.
up things and trying to make sure he's not forgetting the wipes and stuff. No, this is what you want, so you won't be jealous of the time that he has. Go get your time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just releasing that, releasing that power, or releasing that, just kind of releasing. I don't know what that word is called, but kind of
No,
releasing
seriously,
it to
yeah.
the side and
Yeah.
going in and be like, you know what, Lord, it's gonna be fine. You know what I'm saying? So this is a really, really good question. So I say just try your best to communicate to your lover in the right tone, at the right time, letting them know exactly what you need. Not a whole lot at one time, not a big list, but just try to baby step it, because they can't take a list.
Yeah.
Honey, say that again for the husbands in the back. You
Baby
might as
girl,
well.
baby girl.
I gave that
Look,
to Junior, the 2-year-old.
look, today a nap. Tomorrow,
Tomorrow, nap and water in the baby.
so we're gonna have to. And you know what? I think eventually, if we can just learn to be respectful and keep our tones right, and not do too much, like doctor said, not do too much.
Yeah.
But, just baby step that and get them, and they're going to get it, because no one's perfect, and we're all working to make it the way that it needs to be. So yeah.
Yeah.
Time. Okay.
And I think we need to give ourselves grace for space. Like
Yeah.
we need to understand that we need a refreshing
Right.
as wives, and let's just be honest, because if we are trying to pack so much in a day,
Girl.
and then because we're going to hit this next topic, we're trying to pack so much in a day and be superwoman, and then it's 9:26 at night, and then you get them eyes because he's probably want to get them thighs. And listen, it's like, look, what energy do you have? Like, let's just be real about it. We have this, and so that's why you need to, Ramona, you said it perfectly. If we're going to hand over that responsibility, hand over that. It's not going to be as you do it. It's not going to be. I promise you, I had to learn that. Miss Bridget probably know what I'm saying. More than that, it will never be the exact same. Okay, if you want the kids to go to the park in the fall time, I'm like, babe, make sure they have a jacket on. It's a little chilly. The wind is blowing. I want them to have a hat on. For me, I'm like that. I mean, they come back from the park, one shoe on, one sock. And I'm like, nose running. Like, did you think to wipe the nose? I'm like, I take wipes with me. And it's like, it's just those. But what was the bigger thing? You got that time. And they were willing. I think we don't even say thank you enough. That the fact that it's, well, one of my things I hate as when people ask about your children, like, well, who's keeping your children? You mean they're home with their daddy? What do you mean who's keeping? Who's keeping the kids? Their parent. But it is, though, I think we do have to learn how to take that grace for space, and know that, and then release also the same grace that you're getting to those hours by yourself. Release that expectation of your husband. I am trying to tell you, especially if they have multiple kids, you're thankful that they are home alive and they didn't fall. It's just, you got to learn how to be thankful, put that thankfulness in context. But going to, though, again, get in that space, because we, again, in our multifaceted roles, there is another context to this: intimacy. And so, we're going to let Miss Bridget talk to us, been nearly 30 years in marriage. So we're going to let the wisdom speak on this. What are those things, and especially as wives, I think one of the questions I want to ask, how do we as wives build up to, I think, being as vulnerable as we need to ensure that we have a robust and intimate, trying to say it as best I can because Carolyn may be on here, but that we sure that we're intimately satisfied. We're courageous, but we're going to be respectful. We're intimately satisfied, and we're both pleasured. And so, what would be the advice that you can give to us as wives?
That you stay satisfied? Is that the
question? All of the above. Stay, get, make, whatever you want to share.
Work it out, Miss Bridget.
Okay, now we're on live, right? So make sure.
Yeah.
What language we can say, what language we cannot say.
That's why I gave it to the expert.
Okay, so let's see here. I think it's important for the female, for the wives to be satisfied as much as the men. The men gonna get satisfied, you know, period, point blank. We're gonna keep it real. We're gonna keep it 100. Um, so the men are gonna be satisfied. You have to make sure that you're doing those things to be satisfied as well, and that is sometimes just making sure you're having a conversation with him so he understands what it takes to make you satisfied. And say,
Oh, hello.
how was that for you? How was that for you? Okay. Okay. Well,
Okay.
can you make sure that you get your half of the pizza and I get my half of the pizza?
Oh, hello. Let me
So that we both
sorry,
can be,
pepperoni.
so that we both can get fed. Okay. Can we be nice about that? And so
Got it.
and that way, the next time, you can make sure that both of you are satisfied because as being married almost 30 years, um, you're going to go through some time periods where it just seems so complacent, right? I mean,
Mm,
you end up just with the same old pajamas on and everybody getting in the bed going through the same old routine. It's easy to get in that habit of the same old. Baby, you got to keep it fresh. I'm saying this as tactfully as I can, but you got to keep it fresh and make those things happen to where you excited and he excited, and so that you both uh, are pleasured at the end of it. Because when you don't, something ends up missing, and
mhm.
you know somebody's not going to be satisfied somewhere, and then you're not compatible in the marriage anymore, and you got to keep seeking and finding those ways and dating each other and putting on that lingerie and walking around with your heels on and you know doing those things like that you what you started off doing. And I remember my grandmother used to say, don't start something you ain't willing to finish. I'm like,
Mm.
that is so true right there. I've never forgotten that she said that, right? And so I didn't know how to cook then, and I still don't know how to cook now. But you can cook somewhere else. You don't have to cook in the kitchen, So you have to
Okay.
learn your little moves and what.
Miss Bridget.
So
Listen.
I think I think those things like that are very, very important, and
Yeah.
making sure that you don't have to have um, that type of intimacy to be pleasured. It can be the stroke of rubbing his head. My husband bald headed, so it can be the stroke of rubbing his head
Hmm.
or giving him a massage. Just making sure that you let him know he's your king, because at some point you need to be treating him as such, and that he should treat you um, in return as his queen. And so there's more ways than just that, because at the end of the day, that doesn't sustain a marriage.
Right.
It takes a lot more to sustain a marriage, and it goes real, real deep. And it's all about making sure that everybody is pleased and everybody uh, is getting that pleasure in whichever way it works, because you can't judge your relationship by what I'm doing. I can't judge mine how you do yours. You got to work that thing out. It's kind of like trying to mold something. Your mold gonna look different than mine. If I put my hand on it, it's gonna look different than what your hand,
Right.
and my curves are gonna be different than your curves. But we're gonna figure out what that thing is, so I can make sure that you get your pleasure on, and you're gonna make sure you get my pleasure on too, so that we have a two-way street there. So
Mm.
that's what I'd say
Yeah.
from a seasoned person.
Okay. So let me ask, so one of the questions that was submitted, and we briefly kind of talked about this before. What's that ideal? Is there a number when we're talking about marriage and wives, we're talking about intimacy? Is there like, do we have to have a certain number to meet, say, hey, we're going to be together at least 4 times a week at this time? Because when people get married, they have like maybe some expectations. I don't, I'm just trying to figure out sometimes where the expectations are other or the under expectations. Again, because sometimes we're trying to look at marriages that's on TV, and they they're not even married, and you're trying to judge your relationship
Right.
because you're watching, Sex in the City or something. And it's like that's it's just so is there as wives, should we release that pressure that there is a magic number and it's more so what again as Miss Bridget alluded to, it's what works for us. Ramona, what do you think?
Like I'm 5 years in, and so I am learning, and just like our previous conversation, just like we're learning to talk more about even about that, because
Right,
we're gonna be real tonight, right?
right,
So intimacy is really a big part in marriage. God made sex for marriage, and so therefore we should be able to talk about it that freely. It
right.
is an important part, and just from my research and stuff like that that I have been reading, like from Dr. Miles Monroe, men,
Oh yes.
they love sex, and we love to be loved. And when we feel like that you love us, then you're gonna get candy off play. You're gonna get, diamond off Players Club. You're gonna get
Yeah.
candy off Best Man. So
I just feel like playing the
that's what
song.
you're gonna get.
Okay.
Yeah, play the song. Cue the song, please. Cue the song.
This is candy. So you're gonna get your best.
Candy.
You're gonna get your best
Yeah.
wife intimately that you ever seen when she feels that love and she feels that security. When she is emotionally secure with you, you're gonna get that and that trust. You're gonna get it. And so with a man like my mom, like in all due respect, a man can lose his grandmother and come home and want it.
And that solves it. Right.
But
You're
a
right about it.
woman can lose her grandmama and she ain't in the mood for a week and a half because we put our emotions in with our sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And men
Mm-hmm.
don't. Men just
That's great.
dog died. Dog died, and they just want to. I have to realize that it's the truth. Y'all know it.
It is, honey. They could be fired from their job, lost pension and everything.
What? So but I am learning, and this was has helped me that we want love, men want sex. Let's try to find a way that we both can do it
Mm,
respectfully, and trying to see exactly what you need and what you want sexually. So if I feel like that I'm lacking emotionally somewhere, let me go ahead and tell him what's going on with me, so that when it's time to be intimate, we can get on down with it instead of me landing like a dead fish. You see what I'm saying? Because I am on. I'm not connecting with you because you have put a hole in me
yeah. Right.
emotionally or
Right.
somewhere throughout the day. I know I'm telling the truth. So, and I'm just learning. Men, work on your. I can't stand your sugar. Work on your sandwich all day long. Work on your sandwich. Work on your
Right.
sandwich. Tomato, onion, lettuce, honey mustard, and cheese. So by the time
And
it's
you know
time to
what
lay
that
it
process
down,
is?
we can slice it next day. What?
Listen, no, seriously. One thing, it's a podcast called Marriage and Sex Podcast. It's a Christian couple
Mm-hmm.
that discusses marriage and sex. And
Right.
we watched this years ago, and I will tell you that this forever changed our marriage. The husband actually said he had to learn that for them making love and intimacy started as soon as he got up in the morning with his wife.
Yes. Yes.
It was sending, it was helping, maybe preparing the coffee, and it was sending a text, and it was like, hey, you don't have to pick the kids up from piano lessons today. I'll go by and get them. It's like, hey, you want me to wash the dishes after you cook? But no, seriously, it's like you, and especially when you have babies, if your husbands are watching right now, if you can
Yeah.
put the baby down to sleep, listen, because it's hard for us to go from breastfeed to then want us to use our breasts in other ways. Let's just be honest, right? It's so I'm about to faint. Look, but it is. It's the truth, and I think our marriages are suffering because we're just not being honest enough
We're not
about
honest.
this. It's like seriously, So I have another question. So we did have an inbox, and we're talking about we have a young lady that's been married for about the same time as you, Ramona, and but her side is that they have no intimacy, and so She's like they don't discuss goals and or business. They're just going through, and the only thing they seem to connect with are the kids. And so we can start it with you, Miss Bridget. So what would you tell a wife and who's in this stage to where who's concerned because hey, if they're not being intimate, then that's raising some other questions for her. So what would you share to that wife or any other wife who may be going through that similar situation?
Yeah, you got to find a way to include the intimacy. Men love that. Let's just be real
Got
about that. And quite frankly, we do too. Maybe not as much or whatever. Everybody's different. You can't judge one person. I can't judge mine off of yours. And how many times, you know, it's like when you first start off marriage, it's like every day, 2, 3 times a day. And then, it dwindles down as you get older. And it might not for some people. I know some older people who still got it going on. And I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm,
Like,
for
okay,
sure.
marriage goals. Um, but you do need to find a way to put that back into your marriage. And sometimes we're so tired by the time you've dealt with your children, and then you've dealt with work and dealt with some people who may have been disrespectful or whatever, and all your other activities that you have going on. You still have to find that way to uh, bring love into the situation, bring love into the equation, so that you can stay together, not just for the kids but for you and him. And in the marriage, I can tell you, you can fall in and out of love with them, depending on what's going on. And so it's important to make sure you're continuing to do the things to keep the love going and sparked up and the flame bright. And sometimes you got to take one for the team, stay up late, do what you need to do, muster up that energy after you're so tired with dealing with the kids and the math and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. You have to find a way, because that's part of marriage. Sex is just part of marriage. It's all it is to it. And so if you're not having it, your husband can be vulnerable to somebody else when they leave that house. And so you don't want somebody else to be getting satisfied by satisfying your
Yeah.
husband, and then here you are, you over here slaving with the kids, looking all tired and run down. It's not going to be attractive anymore. And we know once you start getting involved with somebody, the feelings can get in there, and then what they say, you get caught up. So
Mm.
you can get caught up with somebody else, and then you're going your separate ways. You got the kids, and he over there with Karen or Boo, Becky
Mm-hmm.
with the good hair, So you want to just make sure that you do find that way to bring that intimacy back in there.
Yeah, and I think too, and then we'll go to the next question. But I want to add to that, as women, as wives, that we cannot be afraid to be initiators. I think sometimes we're waiting on our husbands to create these magic moments. And again, reading because you're reading great. What's the book called? 58. What
50
is it
Shades
called?
of Grey.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I just, I just, so you're just waiting on these tie up fantasies or like I said, or you create, you just have to be, it's okay to be initiators. But again, I think that goes back to the vulnerability to where the marriage bed is undefiled. Now, I'm not telling you to get crazy. I am telling you to get creative and that it's okay to initiate because it's an exchange. And this is what you're supposed to be doing. Please, like I said, for one another. I don't know where we got, and a lot of it is because I think of a patriarchal society and how sex was taught, that it was taught from the man's perspective. And
True.
so I just want to encourage you, wife, if you're looking, that it's okay to be the initiator and it's okay to keep initiating because especially after you have a baby, let's just be honest, how many times our husbands have had to be that spark plug, like till we get back into feeling like ourselves, after a season. Let's just be honest. So they were patient and they will keep working that. And so I would listen, I would encourage you to do the same. All right. Now the next question,
Shaketta,
Oh, go
Shanquetta,
ahead.
just
Uh-huh.
really, really fast. We were talking about that lady. I want to encourage her to, if and that's one thing that we sometimes forget about. Hey, Leah, get you some godly counsel. Get you. It's okay. It's okay to have marriage counseling. To get you some godly counsel. Get with somebody. Like we're learning a lot from Mrs. Bridget. You know, she's been married for a long time, so I'm gaining knowledge from someone that's already been there. Get you some counsel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they may have not been through that trench, but they've been through some puddles. They've been through some muddy situations. So, you know, for that lady that's going through that, she ain't the only one that's going through that, that's been through that. So get you some godly counsel, people that you can trust. You don't have to have several, you know, but pray, discern, get you some godly, this is my daughter, get you some godly counsel and to help you through those areas.
Indeed, that's a great point. Thank you for saying that, and I do pray that you do that, or you feel comfortable reaching out to one of us, because I know personally I've definitely had to. Um, Actually, the woman that I spoke of who told me that marriage is a choice that you choose every day, and that you choose to be married every day, and it's an intentional choice. And so, indeed, do that. So, one of the things I wanted to get to before we end, we're talking about as ourselves as wives, but I want to for you to expound on that. I think sometimes, and so I get the spiritual context. I know that we are joined and we become one. I also know that when it comes to Judgment Day, I'm going to be there by myself.
Come
And
on.
the question is going to be, how was, the accountability of how I was as a wife to him, amongst how I was as a mother, stewarding my gifts and my talents and the businesses. And so
Right.
what I'm getting to is, do we talk enough, or maybe do we talk enough about our womanhood and the fact that we are not only wives, we are have different things going on. And what would you say to a woman or a wife that is kind of like maybe lost in that, like, man, because of routine, the only thing I know right now is just being a wife. And so I'm just kind of losing myself, because what that sets in, and it's actually just a question that just came. So I'm sorry, I wasn't disrespecting y'all, but just looking, so trying to just wrap it in context. But of a woman that's saying, I think I'm losing myself because I don't know who I am anymore, just his wife. So would you share some advice to that young lady?
Which one of us?
Start. We could start with Miss Bridget. Sorry.
Okay, I never had that situation personally, because I've always been involved in everything, and my husband's always supported me in everything that I try to do, and everything that I do right now. He probably still
Yeah.
supported me in everything that I try to do right now. But I have had friends who, that's all they know, and you lose yourself and you become his identity instead of having your own identity. And in two cases that I know of really close friends, the relationship didn't work out because you feel like you have no life. You feel like, you're not accomplishing anything. And then when it didn't work out, it ended up in divorce. And then that person got their whole, mojo back. And then that husband wanted her back because that's who he married the first time. But then she didn't have any
Mm,
more love for him. So,
mm,
get your mojo back before, it ends up to where you're just unhappy with yourself, and the other person went into depression, because you feel like you're not accomplishing anything, and your kids are your everything. And your kids are your everything. But at the same time, you know, you got to have something down in here too that is going to elevate you, promote you. You feeling good about yourself. When you're feeling good
mm,
about yourself, you're thriving, and everybody else around you is thriving. You don't want to
mm-hmm,
be dying on the inside, but everybody else around you is doing everything great. But you feel like,
mm-hmm,
man, I'm crawling on the inside. I'm crying.
mm-hmm,
So make sure you find those outlets for yourself and have that self-care time, because we all need self-care time as much as we work and do everything for everybody else. Man, that self-care time is so important, and it gives you a chance to just sit back, recenter yourself, and get yourself together, um, so that you can help somebody else, because that's what we do. We're going to go back to helping somebody else and
yep,
overextending ourselves, And so,
Yeah.
but in order to be the best to help somebody else, you got to take that time for yourself, and you got to find those things that, hey, I did this, I accomplished this today for you, not for everybody else.
That's so good. Sometimes, especially if you are a mom, a young mom, and multiple, sometimes that's even getting dressed.
Yeah.
That could be an achievement. Taking a bath, especially with a new baby. That is an achievement within itself. So
Yeah.
give yourself that grace. Ramon, what would be your advice?
My advice is to know who I am outside of just being a wife. I met a woman and she said, "Hi, what's your name?" The first thing I said, because I was at my husband's church and his last name is very, very known. She said, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Tony's wife." I thought maybe she would know who I was because I said I'm Tony's wife. That's the dad's son. She said, "No, no, no, no. Who are you?" I said, "I'm
Mm,
Ramona." I said, "I'm Ramona."
mm.
So when she said that, she was trying to show me something. She said, when somebody asks you who you are, you don't just say that you're someone's wife. She wasn't disrespecting my husband. She was teaching me a lesson.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I understand that I'm his wife and I'm Aaliyah's mom and I'm Natalie, Kelly, and Tony's mom. But at the same time, I have to understand, who I am, and take that time piece by piece. And when you have multiple children like I do, when you have businesses and stuff, sometimes, you have to do a little bit each day.
so
Today I'm
true.
going to focus on. Today I'm going to put my makeup on today, and I'm going to
Yep,
Kroger.
yep.
Today I'm going to order me a very nice dress, and when I get it in, I'm going to try it on. I'm going to ask my husband how I look in it. Piece by piece, I'm getting myself back. I
Mm-hmm.
can't go to the gym and exercise. What I'm going to do for myself, I asked my mom and dad to give me this bike. I could exercise at home. I have YouTube now. So piece by piece, I'm switching up, but I'm not changing who I am.
So
You
good.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting where I need to be. I'm just doing it in a different way. And so life changes and we involve and things happen, more children, more businesses. So we have to find out as women, and I know that we can do it, especially with the help and the encouragement like Shanquette is doing with us tonight, getting this advice, piece by piece. Don't lose yourself. Piece by piece, start
Yeah,
putting it back together. You don't have to lose yourself, just piece by piece, you know, and it's not about like weight and appearance. Sometimes you have to like you gotta pat your own back. I pat my own back now. My parents do it. My clients do it. My kids love me, and that's good. But there comes a time in late in the midnight hour when everybody's asleep. I have to remind Ramona and remind myself,
yes,
girl, you got it going on still.
yes.
You 40 pounds over than what you was. But honey, you are 5'11", looking good. You are smart.
Come
You are
on, tall
intelligent.
women.
You know what I'm saying? Come on now. You are God chosen. My daddy
Yes,
said if he had a wallet, he would have your picture in the back of it. So, I
I
build
love
myself
that.
up. I build and I build and I build myself up. So when I wake up in the morning, my husband thinks, honey, I'm gonna do one. It's because I took that time to build me up. I can only be better for him, be better for my clients, be better in ministry, be better friend, if I take time, do self inventory, and build me. And that's how I'm doing it with 4 kids under four.
That,
And Ramona,
honey, and you are
Ramona, that,
doing it.
yeah, Ramona, that is so important. And as you grow into your marriage, one of the things that you always have to do is remember to always keep yourself up. That's how you sustain a marriage. Is you always keep yourself up and keep yourself looking good. I know when I leave, my husband always says, "Oh, baby, you look so good today." And then, yesterday when he called, he said, I didn't answer because I was in a meeting, and he texted me. He said, "Hey, where's my big booty wife at?" I'm like, "Lord have
I
mercy."
love it. Yes.
So we've been
And
in
y'all
this
have to see
thing,
her. She working.
you know, we've been in this thing for a long time, but sometimes even, as you go home and you just I'll dress up, put my stilettos on, and walk around the house, and you're like, ain't gonna do nothing. So you find you have to find those things to keep it fresh and keep yourself up, and you don't want to become just that person that's just out there doing your everyday chores. You gotta let them know you can do it all. You don't have to do it all the time, but bring something fresh to the game, and let's do something a little bit different, and make sure
Right.
you put that lipstick on. You just feel so much better about yourself.
You do.
It's
You
like when
do.
we go get our makeup done, don't we
Your
feel like
nails
we just
done.
we
Yeah.
beautiful? You just feel like, oh my God, who is that girl? So, you have to do that. You have to do it for yourself to make yourself feel good. It's, beautify yourself because you deserve it.
That's
Motivate
so
yourself. Motivate,
awesome.
motivate yourself with words. Motivate. Talk to yourself. Look in the
Yes.
mirror. Talk to yourself. I do.
Mm.
I do.
No, that is so true. And I was gonna ask, so we always end with what's your courageous action? Um, uh, and so I think though, because of the context of what you all been saying, and my question was going to be, what's your courageous action as a wife to continue to find that joy in being a wife? And I think you are both expressing that so well that uh, knowing that you can, even if you're in that moment, that you can begin to piece by piece find that joy of who you are, appreciate your own self. God does not make any mistakes. And so within, you having children and just life changes, that there's still value in you. I love you with what you're saying, Miss Bridget, that too, even we are working on the inside and we know that, and that comes from our devotion and our time with God and just how we restore ourselves and getting time alone, but also that physical appearance.
Comb your hair.
Yes, it just makes a difference of even how you feel about yourself. I mean scientifically, just taking a shower and steaming your body just
Yeah.
releases things. I mean, just, and so you are forgetting all of that, or to think, as Miss Bridget said, those things that you done when you first met him. You brushed your teeth right before he came over. you know,
You shave your
you
legs.
you're in conversation, holding gas and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all know, like you don't poop and all that stuff, but honey, not around him, right?
No, you hit it in, baby.
Look. I mean, but
I'm out
seriously,
of
and we forget those things, and then when life happens, those things take courage to find again
Yeah.
and to do, and then to not take advantage of. And so you've heard today from two wonderful wives. Just all of that still matters. If you can have someone that's seasoned nearly 30 years, and then someone who hit the ground running 5 to 4, 5 years for babies. Listen, we didn't waste no time.
Come on, God.
But seriously, all of that stuff, all of those things taken together, they matter. And I also would encourage you to a courageous action for you as a wife could be just to walk away. Like I have what I call Mommy Mondays. They know that I have a time, I will have 2 hours to myself. And it's not where I'm going. That could, I mean, of course, before COVID, but sometimes that could have been at Starbucks. I love to read, so that could have been in Barnes and Noble or something. That's for me. I mean, you probably this maybe your spa day if that's you're that type of woman, but take that intentional time because again, at the end of the day, you do have to account for yourself. Don't forget that you have to account for yourself. And one of the saddest things is to see people walk together in life 30 years. And then soon as their kids graduate from college and then they get a divorce
Yeah.
because we've lost ourselves as women. And then we find ourselves and we've spent half of our life investing in something. I'm just committed after all these kids and stuff. I wish someone would come now after all the investment in hospital bills and labor I've been through. And you have to think like that, encourage yourself. So I do, though, I don't want to have the last word. I do want to give Ramona, would you please, still, if you have anything to add, what still would be your courageous action that you encourage to continue, advocating for marriage and to continue living, and developing and prospering in your marriage?
I just want to encourage you, wives, and soon to be wives, to make sure that you are praying for your mate. Pray for
Mm,
your mate and make sure that you're letting them know that look, we are a team, and you're going to be strong in some areas. I'm going to be weak in some areas, And that's what makes us a team effort, because we're going to be able to balance things out, and we're going to be able to work this thing together. So it's okay to be vulnerable to your lover. Because don't forget, you're praying, and you're praying God's protection, and you're praying God's discernment, and you're praying, you're really praying God's way over his life. I want to encourage you, like she said, spice yourself up. It's okay. It's not all about that, but men are visual, point blank, period. Spice yourself up, look good, be spontaneous, try something that's new, try something that's different. I want you to laugh. I want you to pat yourself on the back. I want you to get in them old jeans if it take you a year. If that's your goal and that's where you want to be, you do it. If you're happy where you are, honey, find your right size and work your stuff.
Right.
Find your right size
Right.
and work your stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I want you to be intentional, and I want you to keep God first and keep praying for your man, because society says that we have the highest divorce rate, and society doesn't want it to happen. And society wants you to have 50 and 60 step that it wants that. But God, and with God, you can get over anything and forgive quickly. There you go.
That's wonderful. All right. The Mrs. Bridget Roberson, close us out. So what would you advise the courageous action and advice that you would give to us wives?
I would just, echo everything that Ramona said. I think those are great things. I would, my courageous thing for all women who are married or who aspire to get married is to make sure that, when you enter into that covenant of marriage, that you hold on to that, because there will be good times, there will be bad times. And it's during those bad times that you really grow together. And so take the lessons, and, don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry. I should not have done that. I should not have said that, and let him be the king sometimes, even though you're really running it, let him think that he's running it, because that goes a long way. It really does. It goes a long way. And, sometimes when you come home and you work with the kids and everything like that, I know you tired, go get you a glass of wine, put on those stilettos, put on that sexy negligee, walk around there and shake it, shake it, shake it. Lighten the mood sometimes to let him know,
yeah,
not like this all the time, boo. I'm still fun. I'm still that wife that you met. If you was crazy before, that's who he loved. So don't forget your crazy. Go ahead and continue.
You better say that. Seriously, yeah.
Do those things and be those things that you were, that attracted him before. If you wasn't fixing up before, he ain't worried about you fixing up now. But if you fixed yourself up before, fix yourself up again, and don't let yourself go. It's easy for us to let ourselves go. We will eat and get stressed out and get busy and don't take care of ourselves. Let me tell you something. I always take care of myself. My husband, no, don't even give my age, boo. Don't do it. Do not do it. That's not my age. Okay. Let's make sure we on the same page. Because I'm gonna strut around like I'm 25. And I tell you I'm 35, you keep me at 25. So you make sure that you have that spunk and that spice coming in there. It's whatever your spunk and spice is. It ain't gonna be the same as mine. Make sure you find your niche and make that work out. And then when you have problems, don't tell everybody your problems, because they're gonna tell you, well, I would do this, I wouldn't do it. That ain't none of their business. Go to somebody that don't have a dog in the fight and try to work that out. First of all, go to God in prayer, because you're not gonna get anywhere without God. He is the one that sustains you. He made you, and he can take it away. And so you have to, you always have to do that. When I go home, my husband first thing is, hey, baby, and give me a kiss. We do that when we leave. We do that when we come in and see each other. That's important, because no matter, even if we're mad, I still got to give him a kiss, right? And that ain't always good. I'm like, I want to kiss you today. But that's
what you got to say that.
It takes that away. And remember, as you go through marriage, Ramona, you're 14, Shanquetta, you're 5. No,
you're switch. Yeah.
Switch. Okay. So as you're going through marriage, you're going to find those times when, he ain't looking so handsome, because he done made you mad. It's okay. It's okay. Realize and recognize, is it that important that we're going to be mad all day? if it ain't that important to make you be mad all day, if it ain't worth it, let it go. And it involves a lot of compromise. And so you can let that go. You're gonna get to this big old party, everybody having a good time, and you mad because he left the toothpaste out. It ain't that serious. Let it go. And don't fuss at him like that. These are lessons that we all learn. You learn different things as you get older. I love my husband. I am so grateful and thankful for him. I couldn't make it and do all the things that I do without him. And I am submissive to him, but most of the time I'm bossy to him. But I have to be submissive to him because this man cooks, he cleans, he does it all for me. And it's me training him to do that, right? And so you have to know you got to do what you got to do. You have to do that, and because if I didn't do that, I start off cooking. I'm gonna have to cook every day. I don't have time for that now. Look, so and then he don't want me to cook. I can get in there and start trying, and that's what he want to do. Go right on ahead, because I've been burnt up the water.
I love it.
But just remember to keep God first. That's the most important thing. And as you go through your trials, we all have them. Yeah. God is putting you through that for a reason. It's to build you up stronger and better. And I wish everybody the best in their marriage, because marriage is a beautiful thing. Here. And the Bible says that a man who findeth himself a wife findeth himself a good thing. And that's what we are, the good thing.
Yes. And on that note, good things out there. Yes, that is something. Hey, I'm putting that down. I am a good thing. You need those reminders and affirmations.
T-shirt, good thing.
Yeah, listen, look. But I appreciate everyone that joined in to tonight to watch, and I appreciate you, Ramona, and Mrs. Bridget. I thank you so much for sharing on tonight, being open. I definitely have enjoyed myself. Y'all know I'm goofy. I'm a laugher, and so it wasn't hard to do with you two. And so it was just so much fun. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for taking time out of your night from your families to have this conversation and to share your experiences. And so I am just grateful for this opportunity. Stay tuned for the next. It's in 2 weeks. We'll be coming back, and we're going to have When Husbands Talk. So that's going to be interesting.
Oh, that's going to be good.
I'm going to inbox y'all because I think I have an idea. I think I'm playing with an idea right now. So,
oh Lord, I see the light bulb go off in her head, Ramona. I think we're in trouble.
I'm gonna get my stilettos ready.
You already know where I'm going. See there? I have an idea. Okay, but I thank you all so much. I'm going to Ramona and Ms. Bridget, would you please stay on the Zoom? But I'm going to end the Facebook Live. But again, thank you all for tuning in to Courageous Conversation for Action, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, lady.